Hey guys, it's Luke from Mix and Made Simple, and today I'm going to show you a really quick and simple mastering chain that you can use on your music to get to the loudness level that you want and get your tracks ready for release. Now before we get started, make sure you look in the description below and grab my free ebook. It'll help save you a lot of time, money, and frustration when it comes to mixing and mastering EDM and all the tools that you might need, and just little tips and tricks, and I talk about different myths that you should be aware of, and I really think it'll help save you a lot of frustration. Go ahead and get that below after this video. So what I'm going to teach you is a simple mastering chain, just a few plugins for mastering your track that you've mixed yourself. I've got this track here and I'm just going to go ahead and play it. I'm in the drop section and there's a vocal. It's kind of like a deep house, like piano house type track. I'm in the loudest part of the track, so I'm just going to play like a little bit of the section of it, and so you can go ahead and hear it, and I'll get to the mastering. Let's go ahead and take a listen. Okay, so there you go. Pretty catchy little track. It's a little demo track that I made for this. And right now I've got loudness meter up, which is a free plugin. I'll have a link in the description for that as well. And I'm using only Ableton plugins, but this free plugin really helps to be able to measure the LUFS. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take Ableton's saturator, which is actually a clipper. When it's on different modes. So if you have analog clip or digital clip, it works as a clipper. And what that means is that anything that gets above this little line right here is just going to get clipped off. And we can do this a lot of different ways. We can do it more aggressively, and you'll kind of hear a little bit of saturation, which gives it kind of a nice sound actually, especially if it's on soft clip. Or you can do it in like a more transparent way to basically chop the peaks off of a signal and kind of help to be able to bring it louder. So for this, what we're going to do is I'm going to bring up the loudness meter, and I'm just going to start pushing up the drive, and until it starts popping above this line, and then also I'm going to be watching the loudness level until we get to a loudness level that we like. So I'm going to play it, and then let's go ahead and start cranking up the drive. So that's good news. We've already got up past -8 LUFS just by using the saturator. And just a quick note on that. The reason I'm able to do that is because I have a good mix, and I've got my track set up. It's kind of prepared to going into mastering to be able to master it loud, especially with Ableton plugins with no issue. And so if you look, like for example, on each group, I'm doing a little bit of clipping on each group as well, and I'm trying to keep it as transparent as possible. So if you look right here, I've got another free plugin. It's called Smexoscope. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play just these mids and highs of the track, and I'm going to turn the saturator off. And what I want you to look at the audio, and you're going to see little peaks and stuff. And then when I turn the saturator on, you're not going to necessarily hear it, but you're going to see that those peaks are going to be chopped off. So go ahead and take a listen and take a look. Now saturator on. So we just have enough to where we're clipping off just little tiny peaks, and I do this to each one of the groups, and it's not always necessary. Actually on the bass I'm doing a little bit of limiting to kind of fatten up the bass. But all the groups are really they're really prepared to go into the master. And you can see that when I turn that saturator on, the great thing about clipping like that is you do it in a transparent way. You can't even tell. And what that does, it just allows us to be able to push the volume when we get to the mastering. So I've got 12 dB in, and now what I'm going to do a little bit of EQing. Okay. And so what I like to do is I'm going to put this on mid side mode, and I'm going to go ahead to go to side, and then I'm going to go like this. Oops, I'll turn this one on. And so what I like to do is pretty much anything, if I bring this up, anything below this line is going to be turned to mono. And so I'm just going to go ahead and raise this up, and I'm going to go down, and I'm going to look right here. I'm going to look until I hear that it gets kind of a warm sound again, and I'm going to kind of just leave it around here, kind of just turning anything below a certain area to mono. Let's go ahead and take a listen. Let's make sure this is off. Okay. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab one of these, the one. I'm going to make that a filter, and I'm going to start rolling it off around 35 hertz, and I'm just going to start to where I just cut off anything below like 20 hertz, because it really just doesn't matter. It's just base information that we don't need, and all it's going to do is it's not going to really do anything to add to the track, and you can't hear it, and it just doesn't matter. So I'm going to get rid of it. And then up here, I'm going to take this one. I'm going to make it a steep cut off, like a brick wall, even though it's not quite a brick wall, but it's close enough. And if I go like this, obviously, you can hear it. But if I go up to where it gets to about 19,000 hertz, you can see right here, there's a little bit that I can kind of get rid of, and you can't really hear it. It doesn't matter. And this is going to allow us to it's going to give us some more headroom to work with. And one little trick, in case you're interested, if you want to do this, is you can go to side mode, and you can actually boost this area here. And if you wanted to kind of boost, this is just the sides of the information. It might, and we can just go ahead and try this just for fun. You hear how it's adding just like a tiny bit of clarity there. I kind of like it. Not always necessary. Like I said, it's good to just have a really good mix, but I like that it's kind of bringing out that white noise. It's kind of adding a little bit of just like some clarity to the top end. I'm going to go ahead and keep that there. I like that. That works for me. Okay. So now on to the limiter. Okay. So now I'm going to bring this up, and I'm bring loudness, the Ulean loudness meter up. I'm going to leave the look ahead time to 3 milliseconds. So if you have a longer look ahead, it's basically looking further ahead for oncoming peaks. But you're going to not be able to get it quite as loud with a longer look ahead time. And so if we were struggling to get it loud, one thing you can do is you could have 2 limiters, and you could have one with a long look ahead time and maybe like a longer release. And then we can have that one going in, and put this to 0, going into another limiter. Actually, let's turn this off and let's just use the 1 and see how loud we can get with just the 1 limiter. The reason it's kind of staying right there is because this is a pretty long release time. So if I shorten the release time, you'll start to see the loudness go up. And what we want to be careful of, though, is if you get too short of release time, you're going to start hearing audible distortion. Let's just slowly bring it down until we get a loudness level that we want. See, we didn't even have to go that far. So I like that. And the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to -1. And the reason I'm doing that is because it's an Ableton limiter, and it's just not quite as advanced as, say, like the FabFilter Pro L. And when you lower the ceiling like that, it's going to prevent intersample peaks. And so if we export it, there's a chance that little peaks can get past 0 dB. And so if you raise it down, if you bring the ceiling down to -1, then it's just going to really prevent those from getting past 0. If you had something like FabFilter Pro L, and you could probably be at 0 or -0.03, and it wouldn't be a big deal. So there you go. That's right there with just the saturator as a clipper, EQ, and then a limiter. We're already good to go. We've got the loudness level we want. If you have a really good mix and you're just trying to get your music out there in the world, then that's all you really need to do. I'd highly recommend, if you're working on your own track, if you have any issues with the mix, or it's just not, if you're referencing, if it's just not getting to the professional sound that you want, then you need to go back into the mix and fix it. Once you have a really, really good mix, that's when I would take your mix, export it, send it to a good mastering engineer. There's plenty of master engineers out there who don't charge that much. Get it mastered by someone who masters EDM. They'll send it back, and then you can go ahead, and what they're going to do is they're going to do a little bit of tonal balancing here and there if it needs it. So what I'd recommend is master your own track, get it mastered, and then compare the two, and whichever one you like most, that's the one you could send to a record label or, put out to streaming services. If you just want to get music out in the world and you're satisfied with your mix, then this works just fine, especially if you have a really well-written track and a catchy track. And to be honest, it just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You don't have to have a perfect mix and master if your music's good enough, okay? Okay, so that concludes this video. I just wanted to keep it really simple and just show you how to get a track up to the loudness level you want, get it ready for release. If you're having any issues, if your mix just doesn't sound as good as the track you're referencing, then you really just need to go back in the mix. I can't emphasize that enough. It's really all about the mix. And then, like I said, mastering is kind of like the cherry on top and getting it to that loudness level that you need. So I just like to keep it simple, and I hope you enjoyed. If you made it this far and you're an EDM producer and you really want to take your music up to the next level fast, go ahead, look in the description below, book a call with me, and we'll see about getting you enrolled in my mixing course, Mix Immersions. I hope to talk to you soon, and I will see you guys next time.